I don't know how you feel about it, Chris Walby, but this is my favorite time of the year. The weather is a little bit more crisp. Labor Day Classic, Banjo Bowl, NFL football kicks off. It's a football lover's time of year. How are you, sir? Are you looking forward to the 18th annual Banjo Bowl this weekend?
Yeah, and I thought it was funny that I was listening to the guys out in Saskatchewan. Some guys are trying to change it. They're trying to downplay the Banjo Bowl and just call it the Labor Day Classic. Forget it. It's Banjo Bowl. Look at Troy Wizard created this for a reason. It brought a lot of attention. They have a banjo that they give out to the winning team. So come on, man. Let it be as it is. Great job by Troy to name that. And I don't care what the naysayers say. It's going to stick. Because I will call it nothing less than the Banjo Bowl. So they can go and put that where the sun don't shine.
Hello. I was actually reading last night. I didn't know this. I didn't actually know this. Yes, Troy Westwood named the game by, the banjo plucking inbred comment and all the rest, and then doubling down the following week and that becoming the Banjo Bowl in Winnipeg following the Labor Day Classic. But it was Blue Bombers Hall of Famer, builder, and longtime executive David Asper who coined the term Banjo Bowl and marketed it as such. Beautiful trophy that players love to, grab and strum and play with and pose with after the game and that sort of thing. Chris, the Banjo Bowl was named after your time, but you played in those rematch games with the Riders, didn't you?
Oh, absolutely. We all, that's the thing. I think the league has done one thing right, and that is when you get the Western opponents like Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, you play them back to back in this, in the fall, and I think it's great that the fans are going to get to see Saskatchewan again out here, and I think in a couple of weeks. So, if you love watching the rivalry between Bombers and Saskatchewan, you're getting a good share of it now with last week's close nail biter. And this one tomorrow at the Banjo Bowl. And then, of course, in 2 weeks again at home against Saskatchewan. So a lot of green and the blue going at it for a while. But, you got to love it. I mean, I thought the Bombers are very fortunate, but they just find a way to do it every time, DB. They, the great, that Hickson kid who I really like, Frankie Hickson, the running back for Saskatchewan. Obviously, Willie Jefferson, the pressure he gets on Cody Fajardo forces that little high off Hickson's hand. Boom, right into Nick Hallett with his first interception. So that's a fantastic way to end the game. And they ran it out. You like that other kid, Dakota Prukup. He took off and he got a huge run just before the end of the first half that led to a field goal to tie the game at 7. Think about it. Sketch was up 14-0, and I was watching the game, and I'm thinking, this is going to be an ugly game. You never know what's going to happen, right? And the Bombers find a way to claw back in it, and they just get things done. I mean, again, and we've talked about this, Zach Collaros, he is doing things when he rolls out. And everyone says he rolls always to the right. Well, he made a couple of nice plays rolling to the left, and he's throwing against the grain, throwing against his body. And, of course, you saw Dalton Schoen with his 9th touchdown, tying him with the guy in BC.
Dominic Grimes.
So, I mean, basically, if he keeps playing like this, he's somebody said he's one touchdown away from tying the record. It was set in 1961 for a rookie by the Bombers. Somebody in 1961 did it. So, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment for a young guy. Usually you don't kind of see this kind of production. But and we've said this, too. When it comes to Dr. Schoen, watch him because he's gone. He won't be here. He's getting he's getting an offer.
Reminds you of Brandon Zylstra, right?
Yeah.
1-2 years in the league and then getting his opportunity, or like that being a receiver example. DeAndre Alford, not only did he get his NFL shot, he's not on a practice roster like a lot of other guys like Jonathan Kongbo and Drew Desjardins and Chris Streveler. He made the 53-man roster in Atlanta. He's going to be dressing on Sunday with the Atlanta Falcons, which is awesome. But when it comes to Dalton Schoen, when's the last time, I understand a rookie record, that would be great, but when's the last time a rookie led the league in any category? Can you imagine leading the league in touchdowns? We have to remember Dominic Grimes put up a lot of those TDs in those 4 and 5 touchdown games off the arm of Nathan Rourke. Rourke no longer a factor in BC. Vernon Adams Jr. will dress for the Montreal Alouettes this week, home to in Montreal against the Alouettes. So it'll be interesting to see how much quarterback action he gets with oh gosh, escaping me now.
What are you talking? Who are you talking?
Oh, BC's quarterback,
Yeah,
Pipkin. Sorry,
yeah,
so two.
Antonio Pipkin.
Yeah, so two former Alouettes. Thank you. Will be facing off against the BC Lions, or will be facing off against their former team now with the BC Lions. Sorry, glad everybody got that clear as mud. But for Dalton Schoen, the opportunity is here for him, Chris.
Yeah.
But what stood out to me, you talked about Collaros before you went to Schoen. Do you remember when Matt Nichols was quarterback of this Winnipeg Blue Bombers team and the Bombers would win by 2 and he'd go 15 of 24 for 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over as he often avoided. And everyone's like, can you imagine how good the Bombers would be if they had a lights out quarterback? Well, what I just read was Zach Collaros' stat line from the Labor Day Classic.
Yeah.
15 to 24, 2 touchdowns, 214 yards. He was only 63%. He was above 80 in the first half. We saw both defenses lock things down in the second half. From that defensive second half, Chris, especially the way Winnipeg played, what kind of Banjo Bowl rematch do you expect to see between these two teams that know each other well?
And if you go to the Saskatchewan website and you listen to Craig Dickinson, he said there's no way in the world we are going to blow Winnipeg out. We are going to have to play a perfect game, a disciplined game to even have a chance against this team. Obviously, when you think about the crowd, we're talking a sellout. And anybody who's been at the IG field, even when it's not a complete sellout, it's so loud in there. And you know what? The Bombers, I thought, did a fantastic job of coping with the noise in Regina. But I got to say right now, I think they're going to have an issue coming here. They've got some changes Saskatchewan does on their O-line again. They've had some injuries. But, yeah, it's always tough for our team to go into an opposing field and play with the loudness that they're going to have to deal with. So I'm expecting a good game, but I don't have the, when they went to Saskatchewan, I had a little bit of a gist in my mind saying that, I think the Bombers could lose this game. I don't think the Bombers can lose this game tomorrow. I just don't think that's going to happen.
Wow.
I mean, you look at the guys they got back, and there's a key right there with, Janarian Grant is playing now. He's back in. That's a huge thing. I mean, he's got a touchdown on punt returns. He's got a touchdown on kickoff returns.
He's just explosive, right? Like he's just an explosive player to have in the lineup.
Yeah, and it's great to have him back. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, they got some new guys in. Obviously, they got a Cooper kid coming in, DeJean Cooper coming in, a defensive end out of South Dakota.
This is the thing. When it comes to Cooper, I want to mention this. Last week at practice, I was watching Cooper go one-on-one with Michael Couture. They tried to get Couture a little bit more up to speed. Couture still not in the lineup for the Bombers this week on the 1 game, so he's officially off the 6. Very close to a return from that broken arm. But watching Cooper go one-on-one with Michael Couture, a big boy up front, was interesting because Cooper is not built like a defensive end. He can play defensive end, but much more of an athletic player. When I see him wearing number 22, 6'3", 224, he's kind of like a tall Kyrie Wilson.
Yeah.
I think this guy could be a weak side linebacker. I think he could even play the dime. He's going to line up at defensive end this week, and we'll see how much action he gets there, or if they're in a pinch, maybe somewhere else.
And I agree with that. I think that's what you want to do. He's a new guy. That's the thing, right? He's getting an opportunity. Obviously, the fact that they lost Theodric Hansen was a huge blow for them with the Achilles. I mean, out for the year.
Know that?
I think he's done. If he's not going to come back from his Achilles, but it's tough. It's tough.
Look, I'm not an expert. I suffered an Achilles injury. It was just starting to detach from the heel, and then I was able to come back in 3 or 4 weeks for our final game of the season. So we do not know. There is no definitive.
That's when you were in that. That's when you were in that bowling league, right?
No, I was playing for the same team you did, Chris, the St. James Rods, Winnipeg Rods.
We weren't called the St. James Rods when I played.
The Winnipeg Rods.
We were the Winnipeg Rods with the fist, the red fist, But anyway, yeah. Well, you know what? If he comes back, God bless him. I mean, that'd be fantastic. I mean, he's such an impact player, not only as a D line when he comes in, but special teams. He's a big leader on special teams. I mean, I think he had 9 or 10 special team tackles. He was right up there with Mike Miller and all these guys. So, and you know what's interesting? I was looking at that stat. Speaking of special team tackles, Nick Hallett, who's got 43 tackles, and has done a really good job at safety. I got to give him credit. He's also got 10 special team tackles. Like he's right up there. I mean, he's really a well-rounded football player. I see they got his brother dressed. Noah's back. So it'll be interesting to see how the brothers play. But yeah, I'm being very impressed with Nick. And I know that you posted something during the week that Brandon Alexander is practicing more and more. It'll be interesting to see how they slide him into the lineup. They're not in a rush with an 11-1 record, probably 12-1 tomorrow. I don't know if they need to push him in, other than to get him back to game speed. That'd be the only reason I'd put him in, and he'd have to be healthy. But having said that, the guys that come in there, whether it be Malcolm Thompson or Nick Hallett, have really filled the role admirably.
No question they have, down to their third stringer at safety. And here's the thing. Fans are pining for BA, not because of a glaring weakness or anything to that effect in the Blue Bombers secondary, but just because of how much of a fan favorite Brandon Alexander is. To see him get injured in the Grey Cup, hobbling around for the the celebrations afterwards, still limping preseason, being involved in practice, in the games, on the sidelines, effectively coaching. He's locked in. Sometimes you see those guys that are injured on the sidelines and they're a little bit, I won't say aloof, but like they're looking up at the crowd and they're laughing with their buddies. Brandon Alexander is locked the blank in. Like he is laser focused on the work and his teammates and coaching the game. It says a lot about the type of guy he is. It says a lot about the football mind and IQ that he has in understanding the game. If the Blue Bombers are willing to trust him to be a coach. And, I think that's a huge reason why Malcolm Thompson, as effectively a rookie, he only had 2 CFL games under his belt coming to Winnipeg this year, 2 with the Ticats late in 2021. Right. He filled in excellently. Nick Hallett has played well there as well. Rookies in Jamal Parker and a lot of guys in there, Donald Rutledge Jr. That's a spot Brandon Alexander has played in the past. Having that guy who has been there and part of the team as a player to coach and mentor, I think is an invaluable asset for Winnipeg.
Well, I think the biggest thing about BA that I liked, Brandon Alexander, it was his physicality. I mean, not only the fact that he's intelligent, understands, and, you're basically the signal caller at safety. You've got to, yell out, what you're going to do. Is it man? Is it zone? Are you going to double up? Are you going to go over under on a guy? But Brandon Alexander brought that physicality, that physical aspect. I told you he reminded me a lot of Benny Thompson, one of the toughest safeties I've ever seen play in this game, who went down and had a great career in the NFL. But yeah, I think that's the one thing that Nick maybe is not as physical. And I don't think Malcolm Thompson was as physical, but I'll say this. I've been very impressed with Nick Hallett. I think the way he's played, they haven't missed a beat. I mean, obviously they're getting great pressure up front. That's a great thing about having DBs. If you have good pressure, it can help the secondary, right? You don't want to have a guy have to cover for 5, 6, 7 seconds because that's going to open up something for the quarterback to throw or get a receiver open. But I thought Willie Jefferson, he had a sack last week, but he was all around the quarterback. He was in Cody's face mask all the time in his grill, if you want to call it that. Jackson Jeffcoat, I thought, had another game where he made his presence known as well. They just got great players. I mean, I see Adam Big Hill's listed as questionable again, but he's in the lineup, so they're just basically resting him. And I think you'd have to shoot him with a tranquilizer to get him out of the game. I really believe that. I think that Adam Big Hill's a guy that won't come out unless something seriously happens to him.
Chris, Lynn Reimer, who's watching live on YouTube. Welcome back, Lynn. Good to have you as always. Lynn wants to know about Donald Rutledge Jr. and the sneakily quiet, awesome season he is having. So great often season. Overlooked as a rookie on this Blue Bombers team because of just the outstanding play of other first-year guys.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we just talked about a rookie candidate in Dalton Schoen. And then I look on the other side, and Donald Rutledge Jr. leads the team in tackles with 49. He's got 2 sacks. He's got an interception. He's got a fumble recovery, a forced fumble. He's really made a lot of plays. This is a very good football player who's playing that dimer, wide side or short side linebacker. I just think he's having an all-star season. And I agree with her. Lynn's right. I mean, it is weird when you hear about this because he really doesn't get a lot of the attention. I mean, we notice that. We notice him, but he's not in the press. He's not, he just goes about his job and does it well. And, you think if, the coaches are talking about how good he is, but they don't bring him up unless somebody brings him up to the coaches. But you got to look at him and thinking he's having an all-star type season right now. Just the things that he's doing, coming in, as you say, as a rookie, going to that, strong side linebacker or nickel position, or dime. You like to call it the dime. I just think that, that's a great question. I think he's had a heck of a year. Great find by the Bomber organization, this kid.
Well, like if Dalton Schoen was a non-factor, we'd be having the conversation about Frankie Hickson, Titus Wall, the dime backer for the Calgary Stampeders, and Donald Rutledge Jr. as, the guys in the mix for most outstanding rookie in 2022. A player that is often guarding or guarded by Donald Rutledge Jr. in practice, who is really, really showing really what he's always shown, but maybe to a higher degree this season, Chris. I've been singing the praises of Nick Demski all year long because with no longer Andrew Harris here, I think it's a good opportunity, not for Nick, because Nick is clearly seized that opportunity and has elevated his game every season in the CFL.
Big
but
plays.
He is now the guy who deservedly so gets the attention of maybe being Winnipeg's best Canadian player and that homegrown talent that everybody should be celebrating as a guy, University of Manitoba, Oak Park High School, and now doing it in the Canadian Football League.
If you watch that 50-yard touchdown catch that he got, and he was covered by one of the great cover men, Derek McCreef, the linebacker for Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Tight coverage and fingertip control just to the ball in the air. We always said that Nick seems to have great games, not only against other teams, but he seems to always shine by the team that drafted him when he plays Saskatchewan. He always comes up with big plays. Obviously last week, Nick had 5 for 79. He had a touchdown, a 50-yarder we just talked about. He's the go-to guy down the field. He always seems to break open, and you got to give that credit for Nick for the great catch. But again, Zach with a beautifully thrown football where only Nick could get it. I know that I was watching. I think you guys are involved. I'm not involved in the voting, but I think that the sports. Who's John Hodge work for?
The 3 Down Nation.
3 Down. Yeah, they had a kind of a thing where they said who they voted early for the MVPs, and right now they're saying that they think the offensive guy is Zach. And I think this would have been a 2-horse race had Nathan Rourke stayed.
Absolutely.
He's still in the running for rookie. Oh, he's not a rookie.
And most outstanding. No, not rookie. Not rookie. He started a game in the CFL last year, but most outstanding Canadian. You're right.
That's right. Yes, because I saw, and actually he was the number 1 guy, and he's missed about 3-4 games already. So,
but he was 8-1 as a starter and throwing the lights out. He
was one of the best things I see coming to this league in a long time. He was excited to watch. He got me tuned into BC because when BC was not doing well, I wouldn't even watch the games. I'd go back the next day and look at the film, and I'd basically just check out the highlights. But some of the things that Nathan, and I saw they're talking about his brother, who's at Ohio, I guess. He's starting to light it up now too. So, it obviously runs in the family, but I really do hope that the Nathan Rourke can get back before the end of the year. There was an article on him. He was on the radio, but I didn't get a chance to listen to it, where he talked about how he's recovering, his speed.
Right. With Farhan. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did you happen to look at that? I couldn't get it because I was running around doing some other stuff.
I had
to hear what his perspective was as far as when he thinks his timetable is. Can he come back? Because if he can come back, it's gonna be huge. But now they picked up that guy you talked about, and I think I was a big fan of Vernon Adams Jr. before.
Yeah.
He got really smacked in the face when I think he went 4 plays and they pulled him and they put in, what's his name?
Trevor Harris.
Trevor Harris. Thank you. So, I mean, he's got a fresh breath, and he's from the Washington area, so he's close to his home again. Good for him. And he's backing up in that game. So it's going to be really interesting to watch how he does and if he gets in and what he contributes to that, because I think he can really be a guy that can turn that and keep that franchise winning because of he has the ability to utilize his legs. He's downfield. He's seasoned. He's got a good arm. He's got great receivers. I mean, and their offensive line is playing very well.
Well, that was the big question mark coming into the year. If there is a weakness, like I agree with Andrea, who's watching on YouTube and says BC's still a good team. I absolutely agree. But Calgary, I think, is a little bit rejuvenated with Jake Maier taking over at quarterback. They've got way more offensive punch right now. Kadeem Carey in the MOP discussion this season, and Malik Henry, like, adding to Reggie Begelton and a talented receiving core there. Calgary is good. Winnipeg is very good. That's kind of the knock or the reservation on saying, how good are the BC Lions? If they had Nathan Rourke, no question, they would be in the mix. But with Vernon Adams Jr.,
they're still in the mix. He's 8-2, but
well, hang on. Can Vernon Adams Jr. do enough in BC that if Nathan Rourke can come back for the playoffs, be a huge shot in the arm, not just for his ability on the field and for the offense and the rest, but for team morale? Like, think of that energetic boost that BC Lions would get going into the postseason. I think they'd be world beaters.
Well, the reason I like the trade they made, I mean, for a first-round pick to Montreal to get Vernon Adams Jr., is because if something shuts down, listen, I like Michael O'Connor and the other quarterback. He's a big 6'5" a guy that can throw the football, very smart, very intelligent. Heck, Crichton winner. He played in the States. But the fact is, he does not have the mobility of a Nathan Rourke. He does not have the mobility of a Vernon Adams Jr. Those guys have the escapability to extend the play and make something happen with their legs. So that's the thing I think is really exciting for BC. And that's why they went after him. Head coach Rick Campbell said, you know what? We need to get something going here. No knock on Antonio Pipkin. Pipkin's going to get an opportunity here. And, this is how quarterbacks get their shot. But I watched Pipkin play in Montreal. He was in Toronto, I believe, as well. But you know what's funny? And my pinball's going right now because you said something that made me really, and that was when you talked about Calgary and Jake Maier. And I'm a big Jake Maier fan, get me wrong.
Yeah, me too.
But it's funny how you got a guy that's been there. He's won 2 Outstanding Players Awards. He's won Grey Cups. And they almost like they're talking about, he's probably going to end up in Hamilton or something next year. Are you kidding me? I mean, that is the CFL. That's football. Penthouse to the outhouse. I mean, it's what have you done for me lately? It's just crazy.
Think of your day playing in the CFL, Chris. How many teams did Matt Dunnigan play for? How many teams did Damon Allen play for?
Yeah.
How many teams did Doug Flutie play for?
Toronto.
Right?
Hamilton.
Like, all those guys are at least 3 teams. Dunnigan, Damon Allen, they played for 4 or 5 teams.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're right. But we paid a lot of money to get Dunnigan.
Yeah.
I mean, at that time, he was the first guy that got $1 million, right?
Yeah. And then Doug Flutie wasn't far behind with Toronto, right?
Doug Flutie's a special quarterback, though, too. I mean,
Yes,
that guy was, and that's why I love when he went down to Buffalo. And I still get mad when they pulled him and they put the backup in, and they could have won that football game. Yeah, they just thought, and that was the coaching mentality again, saying Doug Flutie's too small, he's too short. Yet he's a winner. Everywhere he goes, he wins. I mean, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So that's what I like about Zach too. Zach is not the tallest guy. He's not the most physical guy. He's only ran with the ball like 6 times for 49 yards. But his escapability, the fact that he gets out of trouble, the fact that he's always looking downfield, and his receivers are on sync with him. I mean, the fact that you watch Dalton Schoen, I mean, that guy, he's leading the league again. We talk about this every week. 25 second down conversions. And then, of course, you got the other guy who's finally getting some good pump, and Drew, the guitar man, Wolotarski.
Yes. Huge.
He's playing a huge part. I mean, he's got, I think, 14 or 15 second down conversions. they're really getting some great production out of these guys, and it sure helps your quarterback when he's got to scramble that the receivers understand and they know where they're going to go, and they come back to the football and make plays.
Well, you speak of production. To bring it back to the Banjo Bowl and this rematch between the Bombers and the Riders, the Saskatchewan Roughriders offense got a lot of production in the Labor Day Classic. Cody Fajardo, like people in Sask saying, what a great game for him. 72%, nearly 300 yards passing, but no touchdowns and 1 interception. Found his receivers, Shaq Evans, 5 catches for 88. Swerve, the man they call Swerve, Kieran Moore, 7 for 58. Mitch Picton had that big 47-yard grab. Kean Schaefer-Baker had 4 catches. But they were maybe highlighted the most by Frankie Hickson, 15 carries for 85 yards, averaging nearly 6 yards a carry, 3 runs of 10 or more. What a difficult little pinball bowling ball to take down. He can, did you see the smack he laid on Shane Gauthier? Like, holy cow.
He's a tough runner. And that's why the fans in Saskatchewan were going nuts, because they're saying, why did Jason Moss only run Hickson 5 times in the second half? When you're getting that kind of production offensively, it just disappears. I think he's got to wake up. Jason Moss, heck of a quarterback. He's had some great years, but as an offense coordinator. But for me, when you go away from something that's working, it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I know the whole talk this week in Saskatchewan is the fact that Garrett Marino's gone, and the players, I guess, had a real stink about it because they loved him in the locker room. And I guess they were all. And I listened to Craig Dickinson, the head coach of Saskatchewan, and he said the first day of practice was just down. The players were grumpy. They're just, and he said the second day they were better. They're upbeat because they understand he's no longer here. Now we have to move on. We can't have this. If you want to, Saskatchewan, we talked about this, the most penalized team in the league, undisciplined. They're over 1,000, almost 1,100 yards. The Bombers are the least penalized team. I went and broke it down even further, which, that's the kind of guy I am.
Put in the work.
Saskatchewan, 8 objectionable conduct penalties. And the reason I went to look at that was because of Duke Williams. What an idiotic penalty he took on the sideline, getting into somebody not even dressed, that cost them big time. Moved them out of field goal range, and they had to punt the football. It was stupid. But they have 8 objectionable conduct penalties. Winnipeg has 1. The other thing I found interesting is Saskatchewan have 20 holding penalties on offense. 20 holding. The Bombers, 10. You just can't win football games.
Well, they're not a talented offensive line. So they're grasping.
No, they're not. But they didn't. They gave up 3 sacks last week, or 1 sack? I think maybe it was 1 sack. I can't remember how many sacks they gave up.
It was a ton of pressure, right? Like Fajardo was running and running.
Yeah, and I remember. I think O'Shea said that sometimes the people, and they used to do that. There was a stat guy that used to do and count pressures, and it was crazy because I remember the guy Stephen Richardson, who was the big horse in the middle. Stovepipe, as you like to call him.
Did I? No.
I think you did call him Stovepipe.
No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, well, somebody did. Anyway, he was like one of the leaders in pressures, playing that nose tackle that over the center. So, they're getting great pressure, and I would love to see them look at the pressures again, because when I look at what Willie does, and Willie got a sack, and we know that Willie's always going to be around the football. He's number 2 in the league, which still amazes me, and pass knockdowns with 9. He's ahead of Dietrich Nichols, who's a DB. And he's got 7. So
nobody's thrown at Dietrich.
No, that's true. At him. No, well, yeah, I agree with that.
1 or 2. He honestly gets like 1 or 2, maybe 3 targets a game. Think about that. He just doesn't get thrown at.
Yeah, I know. I think he's had.
I sure hope he gets the All-Star vote, love. I sure hope he does.
You are on that. You're on the committee that gets to vote for that. I don't.
I'm just one vote, though. We got 5 voters.
I'm here for my scientific knowledge.
Yeah, no, 5 voters in each city, right? So, like, is Dietrich Nichols going to get the respect from the rest of the Western Division when it comes to the league? If he's able to come through the West, will he get the love from the Eastern Division?
Did he get? Do you know? Do you remember? I'm not, and of course, this is off the top of my head right now. Do you know if he got the Player Association All-Star nod?
Nichols, I think he did. Yeah.
Okay, without that to me would be an indication that the players are recognizing how good he is.
Look it up right now.
How about what do you see from this JT Hassel guy?
Oh man, brand new,
right out of Florida Tech.
Yeah, but right into it, right?
Yeah, that's why I was surprised they put him in there. I mean, obviously they like him. He's not a big guy. He's only 5'10", but he must have great speed. I don't know if he's a returner. I didn't look up his bio.
Mm-hmm.
I know they had Evan Holm returning, a UND kid. But I just noticed they have him. They dressed a couple of guys. Obviously, DeJohn Cooper getting an opportunity because of the injury to Theodric Hansen. But then I saw this JT Hassel. Does it say what he was or what?
Sorry to interrupt. Looking up the 2021 CFLPA All-Stars, the halfbacks were Ciante Evans and Carriel Brooks, both of Hamilton. DeAndre Alford, Jonathan Moxey at corner, Brandon Alexander at safety. So
he didn't get it. Okay,
didn't get it. But I mean, Carriel Brooks and Ciante Evans and Hamilton, like, they were excellent.
Well, Hamilton had a whole different team last year too, right? They were playing lights out. Mazzoli was there, and they had that combination of Dane Evans and him. And Dane Evans, he's got to pick it up, man. If he doesn't start playing like I think he's capable of, I think Dane Evans is going to not be a happy camper at the end of this year. And I mean that as far as he may not be in Hamilton. He's coughed up the ball way too many times, and he's
and in the fourth quarter, right?
Crucial interceptions. Like
they're talking about the sky falling in Hamilton right now, and the call-in shows and the blogs and the fan forums and the rest. But it's the Bombers have had to levy their defensive backfield a lot this year with new safeties, new halfbacks, new corners, and then obviously losing Mercy Maston for a second straight training camp, and having to play somebody new there. Last year Mercy Maston got injured in camp, and then who was it? Johnson got hurt in the first game, and I think he broke his jaw, never played again. So these new guys having to come in all the time, it's a good thing they find a DeAndre Alford or a Demario Houston. Houston, of course, now on the 6th game. But Jamal Parker, some people have been critical of him. I give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because I know Winnipeg plays a softer style defensive system, right? They sit back. They want everything in front of them. They'll give up those 8-yard passes. They don't want to give up the 80-yard passes. And those big explosion plays that Richie all hates so much.
Yeah. Well, they have given up. They give up 19 passes over 30+ yards. So, I mean, they've given up big plays. But maybe that's why you say they play a little softer, try and keep everything in front of them because they don't want to give it up to you. So that kind of echoes your point there. Yeah, you know what? But to your point, I mean, these guys have filled in perfectly. I mean, you think about Jamal Parker, you think about Nick Hallett, and you look at the way the start that Winston Rose had. Remember the first couple of games? He had hurt his foot and he came back and he just had a really struggled first 2 games up. They were just going after number 30. Well, he's really tightened his game up. I mean, he's playing like the Winston Rose we know he can be. So it's going to be a very interesting game because you look at Braden Stelenius, the guy they bought him back. I mean, he only had 2 catches for 34 last week in Saskatchewan. They really wanted
first game back, right?
Yeah, they wanted to be more of a factor. Justin McInnes is in. The guy that I think is going to really, I told you this last week, the guy that I really like is Keon Schaefer-Baker.
Agreed. I really like him. Great player.
He is a game breaker, playing very, very well. And again, if you look at what they have, Kyron Moore, Shaq Evans, Tevin Jones, they've got some talent. They really do.
Hickson, man, like I mentioned him earlier, but man, like I was blown away at how good he is.
Told you that last week. We did the pregame or the podcast for the first game. I said, this guy, he's a stud. And that's why I was surprised, like I said, when I read the article and all the people in Saskatchewan going, what is Jason Moss thinking? I mean, he's got a great first half, and then the second half, you give him the ball 5 times. And you're in a tight game. I mean, what was it? 17 in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, come on, boys. You know, if you're Saskatchewan, I'd be upset too. I'd be like, man, wake up.
Do you think it was maybe like a tendency breaker Jason Moss was trying to employ there?
Yeah, maybe. Well, why? Why are you trying to outsmart yourself? To me, if I'm running the football and I got my O line is responding, opening holes, and Hickson hits that hole, man, he's north south, boom, and as you say, very physical. He'll put his shoulder through right through you. But having said that, then you get a guy and then you start living off the pass again. Like they even said, why did they have to throw the ball at the end of the game? You know, they could have just ran the ball. And, they were getting great production. I think it was second or something, a short, and they threw the ball. And that was where the interception took place. I mean, it was just bad luck for them. I mean, I love the picture they show of Cody Fajardo because it seems like every time we've seen him, whether it be the West final years ago or the he's laying down on the ground, punching the ground. So
defeated.
Can they win tomorrow? I guess they could. Do I think they're going to win? I'm talking about Saskatchewan. No, I don't think so.
Well,
I think our crowd is really going to be a factor.
You can see the lines via Sports Interaction in the ticker below. Montreal 3-point dogs, Ottawa 1.5 dogs to Toronto. Winnipeg 7.5-point favorites, Calgary 9.5-point favorites. There's definitely value there if you want to put a sprinkle on the game. Of course, you want to go to our exclusive link. Yeah, just a little sprinkle, not a Jesus sprinkle. Sprinkles of Jesus, but just a little touch, a little taste. You go to SIA.com/bonfire, sign up. You can bet CFL, NFL, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, like you name it. You can find it on Sports Interaction, a Canadian casino. You keep the money in our Canadian economy here, and you get a nice bonus, 100% up to $500. I think I'm allowed to say that on SIA.com/bonfire. I put a little touch on a couple teams to win the Grey Cup because I really do think it'll come down to one or two teams. Chris, like the way it looks right now, I'm not confident in any team in the East. I'm confident in two teams in the West, unless Nathan Rourke comes back, then it might be a 3-horse race. But you can literally hedge your bets, say either Calgary or Winnipeg's going to win the Grey Cup, and you're going to come away with pretty good odds and pretty good cash back on a win by one of those teams. I think Calgary is definitely a team to reckon with Jake Mayer at quarterback.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, but I'm also thinking there's going to be a great possibility of a crossover, and that it may be a West versus West Grey Cup. I didn't see much of that today when I was looking at the odds. But having said that, I mean, Saskatchewan, if they end up they have a better record, again, we'll have to see what Ottawa does. Ottawa's
like, do you really think Saskatchewan is going to be a team that can get to the Grey Cup? I don't see it.
I don't know if they can either. But having said that, I don't know. I'm not hanging them out. I'm not saying nothing. And you said BC. I think BC still got a great opportunity. I think, and again, I'm saying that because I think they picked up good guys. And if I'm saying if Vernon Adams, VA as they like to call him, if he can respond to that offense, and he's only had a 1 week of practice. I think they can be a very dangerous team again. But I still like Saskatchewan. I like Saskatchewan for the personnel. If they can get their discipline back in order or their lack of discipline back in order, I think they could be a very good team. I know that Charleston Hughes is going to play a little bit more tomorrow than he did last week. They still got Anthony Lanier, who has 7 sacks. He's out with a head injury still.
But Phil Robertson, AC Leonard, like they got DeMarcus Christmas. Yeah. They have a very, very talented defensive line. You pepper in Charleston Hughes. Winnipeg, I felt, did a very, very good job against Saskatchewan's defensive front in the Labor Day Classic. Credit also just as much, if not more, to Zach Collaros. He made things work with his legs, shifting the pocket, changing his point of delivery, extending plays as he did. You mentioned the shot yards to Nick Demski for the touch, how great that pass was, how great catch was. But the rollout to the right and finding Dalton Schoen toe tips on the right side of the end zone. What a dime. What a perfectly thrown football by Zach Collaros.
He reminded me of the guy that was that made that great catch yesterday for the LA Rams. Cop.
Yeah.
And he dragged both. He had to get both feet in, and just a great catch. Listen, I first off in the NFL about that game. I'm a Buffalo fan, so I love the Buffalo. They look good. Josh Allen looks good, man. And then you see what's his name, the Vaughn, the pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
He still got it, man. He just gets after him. So I mean, that's my one talk about NFL. But yeah, I think they have a great chance. It's funny when you got a new guy coming in. So this is the last thing I want to talk about. But now that Marino's gone, they put Miles Brown in. Miles Brown's first-year guy out of Watford. 6'3", 320. A cannonball in the middle. DeMarcus Chris is 6'2", 305. These are big boys. And they're there to stop the run. I mean, if you look at the last week, as much as Brady has played very, very well, he only had, what did Brady have last week? I think he had 12 for 38, 12 carries for 38 yards. The Saskatchewan did a pretty good job of taking away the run.
Yeah.
He averaged, I think, 3.2.
That's right.
He had a long of 5 yards. So, I mean, yeah.
They kept pounding it, right? Can you speak to that, Chris? Like Buck Pierce's offense, they will, like, if they're getting 3 yards a carry, it's not what they want, but if they're getting 3 yards a carry, they continue to just pound it. What is the advantage to that when you're running the type of offense Buck Pierce does?
Well, they throw a lot of different things, and you'll see that, the slot back sweep, you see reverses. You saw, for me, I just like the way he's running things. I mean, when you take a look at the Bombers right now, they're number one in second down conversions. They keep the ball. They just keep the football. And conversely, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are the worst. They give up the most in second down. So, I mean, to me, it plays into each other, right? So it'll be very interesting to see if Jason Shivers, the defensive coordinator for Saskatchewan, changes up anything from the game, because they're going to watch, and I guarantee they're going to say, we have got to keep this. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking is going to happen. I think Brady Oliveira is going to have a great game, because I think that the defense coordinator for Saskatchewan is going to start saying, guys, AC Leonard, Pete Robertson, you guys, I want you outside. I want you keeping Zach in the pocket. We got to limit his escapability and the fact that he's extending plays. So that'll open up the running game, I really believe. So Brady could have a big game tomorrow.
Comet is asking who's the rookie offensive tackle starter for the Riders. His name is Cooper Richardson, out of Sacramento State, first year in the CFL, 6'5", 295. They did shuffle things around a little bit on the Saskatchewan offensive line, Chris. Most notably moving Josiah St. John to left guard. Logan Bandy, Evan Johnson, still staying at center and right guard. But we talked about him going into the Labor Day Classic, Chris. Darrin Vaughn still not in the lineup, even though so many people were expecting him to play last week. He's, a little bit of cloak and dagger from the Saskatchewan Roughriders there, but
they interviewed him again.
They can get on that line.
If you go on their website, they interviewed him, Darrin Vaughn, last week, said he's feeling great. They interviewed him again this week, feeling great. He's not playing. They're starting, as you say, a first guy out of Sacramento State, Cooper Richardson. Big guy. They really like his physicality. Big guy. I mean, we'll see what he does. They got Andrew Lauderdale on the left side, Josiah, and I think this is a good move for Saskatchewan. I don't think Josiah St. John is a good tackle. I don't think he should play tackle. I think he's more effective as a guard. So I think it's a better thing. I know they have to – nobody likes to shuffle their O-line because of chemistry and continuity and the ability to make calls and work together. If you look at the Bombers, one of the keys they've had over the years, except for this year a little bit with Couture, is they've continuity. They're all the same group. They're all veterans. They're always there.
Yeah. Comment, no, not Terry Vaughn. Darrin Vaughn. Terry Vaughn, can you imagine if he came back? That would be a shot in the arm for any team.
Darrin Vaughn,
Tyler Fabry, good to see you back, my friend. Longtime watcher and listener here on Bonfire Sports. Former University of Manitoba Bison offensive lineman. He's now coaching the Sturgeon Heights Huskies, which is a factory of producing CFL talent. Anthony Coombs, Keenan LaFrance, so many others coming out of that program. He says losing Dan Clark was the beginning of the end to the Saskatchewan season. Still no Brendan Labatt. Still no.
Brandon's not coming back. I mean, let's put that to bed already, for God's sakes.
I've heard that he's like lost 100 pounds. Brendan Labatt.
I think I found him. I don't know, man. But I agree one thing. Dan Clark was one of the toughest SOBs to play the game. I remember he got into a car accident, almost died, and still came back and played. Right. I mean, it's crazy, the toughness of that kid. And you're right, he was a leader on that offensive line. That's a great point. Hopefully you have to have physicality. You have to have the meanness in there. That's why one of the things I really like about our offensive line, I like Patty Neufeld. Patty Neufeld, to me, is that kind of guy. He's downfield. He's knocking people over. Don't stand around a pile. He's going to knock you over. I like that kind of guy. I like a guy that, you know what, you play to the whistle, but you play within the rules. So, I mean, to me, my hat's off to 53. Patty, I think he does a great job. I know we talk a lot about Stanley and Hardrick, but for me, the toughest guy or the guy that I really like. And then you got Jeff Gray, who's downfield a lot now too. So, but I like Patty. Patty's been doing it for years. So, Darkmoon wants to know where your hat. My hat's gone too.
Yeah, yours got stolen though.
Got stolen by my kid. Yeah, mind you, that's a compliment to you, because that hat you gave me was a beautiful fitting hat, and it's got that no sweat thing on it. So it was just fantastic.
Special for you, Chris. Special for you, because I haven't been able to track it.
My kid loved it, and he actually took it back to Toronto, I think. So.
Well, everybody hang tight. We are going to get some Bonfire Sports gear available to you. Really trying to work on that, but trying to get hockey in order with the NHL season just around the corner. But speaking of a season that is also underway, and a player that reminds me a lot, speaking of NFL, Chris, of Josh Allen, is Winnipeg Rifles quarterback Bryson McNeil. Big body, big arm, tucks the ball and runs with power, puts his shoulder into players while also being one of the leading passers in Canadian junior football, not just in the Prairie Football Conference. This is what you need to know. Following the Banjo Bowl, you're going to get up Sunday. Special kickoff time of 11 a.m. at Eastside Eagles Field. That's right next to Kildonan East Collegiate. Tickets are $15. Seniors are $10. Under 18, bring your kids. They come in free. If you can't make it to the game, you can watch the broadcast. Some silly, goofy guy is doing the play-by-play with the incomparable Matt Rollison. CJFLTV.com. That's where you want to find it. More information, as you can see on your screen right now, riflesfootball.com. They are a big supporter of us here on Bonfire Sports. We're a big supporter of them and junior football across the country. So the Calgary Colts are in town.
That's a big game. They're a big game.
Yeah, the Colts 2 weeks ago were ranked 10th in the country. They're now ranked 7th. Winnipeg just knocked off the number 2 ranked Saskatoon Hilltops. The first time they beat them in 16 years. Winnipeg is a legit team. They are coming for a championship. The Canada Bowl will be hosted in the Prairie Football Conference this year. So if Winnipeg can make it happen in the playoffs, as that team is expecting to do, the Canada Bowl will be right here in Winnipeg on their beautiful new, brand new turf field. It's not even ready yet, but it will be ready for the playoffs at St. Vital Mustangs Field, Maple Grove Park, St. Mary's Road, and the perimeter. Everything is coming together for this Rifles football team at the right time. Dramatic game previous to their bye this past week. At Eastside Eagles Field. They're back at it again, so you don't want to miss it. 11 a.m. on Sunday, September 11th. Colts in town, $15, $10 for seniors, free under 18, riflesfootball.com. These are the players of tomorrow. There are Winnipeg Rifles on the Saskatchewan Roughriders, on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers roster right now. Mike Benson, been in the league for 10+ years. You want to get out and support this. This is great football, affordable for the family. And if you can't get out to the game, gather your family together. Throw the game on CJFLTV.com. Are
you doing the game?
I am.
You all right? And also should give a shout out. That's a great convoy, Tyler. Again, the Bisons, Manitoba Bisons, are playing Alberta Golden Bears tonight. So little shout out to University football as well. But the Rifles are a great sponsor for us. I might, I'm going to the Bomber game tomorrow. It's the first game that I'll be at because I'm always at the lake. But Banjo Bowl is special. I may just have to take in that Sunday game because I'm actually in close proximity to where that field is. So
people were asking about you last game. People were asking.
yeah,
You know who popped in? You know who popped in actually? Pat Neufeld popped into the game last time.
He did,
so there might be some more Bombers with it being a home game on Saturday for the Bombers in the Banjo Bowl. There might be some more Bombers at Eastside Eagles Field. So yeah, you got more information, riflesfootball.com, and you can find them on social media at Rifles Football. I want to ask you about Garrett Marino, Chris, and not so much about Saskatchewan's decision to cut him, not so much about Duke Williams and Craig Dickinson and the discipline and the culture inside that organization right now in a Grey Cup year to boot. I want to know your opinion on the comments or the press release, media release put out by the Canadian Football League and Commissioner Randy Ambrosie saying they have the ability to void any contract or attempt to sign a contract for any valid reason, any reason deemed valid. We might never see Garrett Marino back in the CFL if Randy Ambrosie has his way. Do you agree with that?
No, you don't take. Listen, the guy has to smarten up. There's no doubt about it. He takes stupid penalties. Yeah, no doubt about it. The hit on Jeremiah Mazzoli was unforgivable. I understand that. The hit he hit on Zach, that was the one that I got everybody all fired up again. But I remember we had guys come in the league with all kind of different issues. We had running backs that had issues. We had guys that played for the Ottawa Roughriders way back when. He would I can't remember who he played defensive end, and he was with the Washington Redskins. He was with the Washington, big defensive end, well known in the NFL. Kind of played his way out of the NFL, came up to Ottawa, and he'd be tending to have a machine gun and shoot all the players. He wasn't all there. Let me just tell you right now. But we let these guys come up. I just don't think you should take the man's livelihood. I know that a lot of players or a lot of people might disagree with me and say, well, he's a dirty player. I think he plays on the edge. Absolutely. Has he made some mistakes? Absolutely.
Certainly.
Obviously the Jeremiah one was the worst. They hit on the backside of Zach Collaros away from the play. Unnecessary, unbelievably stupid. And that was basically the final straw that broke the back. I mean, that's the one, they asked Craig Dickinson, they said, was it you that decided to release him, or were you mandated by the league? Because some people feel like the league called Craig and said, you got to straighten this out before you hurt somebody. So
another shot on a quarterback that was unnecessary, right?
Well, they're all weird about. If you read the comments too, somebody said we have to protect our key players. Our quarterbacks are basically the face of the franchise, so we got to protect these guys. Do I think he'll be back? I don't know. I think teams are shying away, but I actually thought somebody would grab him. I thought Ottawa might grab him. Hamilton might grab him. If you get it, he's going to learn it. I mean, he's obviously learning his lesson. He's got no paycheck right now.
Hey, Chris, get this. I just got a text on the Bonfire hotline, 816-TIPS, 204-816-8477.
Great point.
Patrick in Mexico just texted me from like a +52 area code. He says, hey, guys, great show. Patrick in Mexico. Chris is talking about Dexter Manley.
That's who it is, Dexter Manley. Right
Thanks,
on.
Patrick. Appreciate that.
That is 100%. Dexter Manley. He was crazy. But we had him in there. He had a whole bunch of problems, and we had the running back that actually went to prison and played for Calgary.
Do you remember a huge fan favorite here in Winnipeg, the Thunder and Lightning with Charles Roberts?
Yeah,
Mike Sellers got kicked out of the NFL for a year or two for like narcotics. Like
Mike Sellers was a horse. I played Mike Sellers when he was a defensive end as a rookie with Edmonton. He was a horse then. He went on to a great career. But then I love a comments comment. Angela Mosca.
Yep.
I mean, they said he tripped the guy on the sidelines during the game. I mean, this has changed the outcome of the game. Head slap so many guys. Back then, you could do whatever you want. You grab a guy with a face mask. You could smack a helmet. His hands, if you ever saw him.
The stories you've told me about the guys putting thumbtacks in their gloves and scratching.
I got scratches all over my arms because they said we were greasing up, so they put thumbtacks so they could grab your jersey. Well, they scratched the heck out of your arms. It was crazy back then. Now, are we going to allow that? No, we're not going to let that happen again. I mean, they take it away. The league has gone it's a safety thing. Everything's about safety to players, which I have no problem with. But don't take away the physicality of the game. Smart physicality. I love the game. If it starts to come down where the quarterbacks can't even get touched, I will not be a fan of this game anymore. I mean, sorry, buddy. I mean, I love my quarterbacks too, and I know they're the key to getting us a win sometimes. But listen, I'm out there. I'm smashing my head every play. I'm getting beat. You know, I'm not going out there where a suntanning. You know what I mean? And so I think they should be the same thing. I think she should take some too. I mean, we take pride as an offensive lineman of not getting him dirty, which is great. But I mean, sometimes you got to let the boy get hit once in a while just to get him in the game.
Well, I totally hear what you're saying, and I agree with you. Football is a violent sport. You can't, put one player or one position in a globe and have them operate outside of the physical violence that is gridiron football. That said, I do feel they need to protect the quarterbacks in the Canadian Football League.
Yes.
The finishing the hits when it's unnecessary, what Garrett Marino, not just what he did to Jeremiah Masoli, but also to what he did to Zach Collaros. Like, there's some gray area there. I get that, but reputation is a big reason why the eyes are on him like they were. When it comes to Marino potentially never playing in the CFL again, it is a little bit different, Chris, because like the USFL was around for a little while and it went away. And then there was XFL with Vince McMahon and it went away. And the AAF and all these, different leagues, the spring league, that sort of thing. We're entering a time now where the USFL is back and the XFL is back. There are opportunities for these guys to play different places, right? It's not just the CFL.
I just don't want a guy, where they start. I know that people are outraged right now and they've had enough. And I mean, obviously Saskatchewan has released him. And I mean, that's the biggest thing, but, man, I tell you what, I wish the kid, listen, I don't like, first I want to say this. What he did to Jeremiah was horse crap. That's not right. The fact that he didn't apologize to Jeremiah and made a racist comment was horse crap. Now he denies he made the comment, but whatever. The fact that he takes these stupid penalties that hurts his team. This is not good. But having said that, football is a crazy game where a reaction and your emotions are so high that sometimes you do things. I mean, I remember hitting a guy, but I remember I had guys spitting in my face mask in the bottom of a pile. I want to kill him. I want to hurt him. But you got to be smart. Pick your poison. Pick your point. Pick your time. So
do it between the whistles, right?
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough about Garrett. But I will say this: my last comment on the quarterback stuff and the hitting is, I think that they can always protect the quarterbacks, but I think it's very tough. I like the fact that you're not allowed to hit the head. That's a great thing. Great thing. I find it very hard though if a guy's rushing in, and I remember a play in particular. I think it was against Calgary, where Willie Jefferson was going after Jake Mayer and put his hands up and just came down, trying to knock the pass, just touched the head. And they called him, for roughing the. Come on, that you got to let go. There's got to be some sense of justness there. You can't do that. That's getting ridiculous to me. I don't know. It boils my blood right now because I mean, let the players play as long as they're playing within the legal ramifications of the game. Don't start calling things you think. I mean, you see quarterbacks take off for a run, they don't slide. Well, how's that defensive guy supposed to go if I got my shoulders 2 inches off the ground? How am I supposed to tackle him?
They've changed that rule this year, right? Where the quarterback doing the hook slide can no longer fake it, right? Like,
yeah. And that's a good call.
They've seen that in college football a lot because they haven't brought in a new rule yet where the quarterback will run like fake slide and then cut. Because it looks like he's cutting down to the ground, and then he uses that as leverage to kind of, jump cut and make guys miss. I think that's a little bit greasy and not inside the, the nature of the rule. Chris, let's get into it. The Bombers, 7.5-point favorites at home for the 18th annual Banjo Bowl. Your keys to victory: Winnipeg taking a third straight Banjo Bowl over the Riders. They've only done that once before. What will it take to get a win in CFL Week 14 for the Bombers?
Well, I think for offensively, for me, for Winnipeg, I think you got to stretch that defense. And I think what's going to happen, I really do believe this. I think Brady Oliveira is going to have a great game tomorrow. Whoever's running the football, but I think it'll be Brady. I think that the defensive coordinator for Saskatchewan is going to force those ends, whether it's Leonard, Allen, or Robertson or Hughes, to come from the outside, try and keep Zach in a pocket. That's going to spread out that defensive line. There should be openings there. For defense, man, just continue to do what you're doing. They're doing a great job of disguising their blitzes. Listen, they gave up about 290 yards to Cody Fajardo. I thought he threw the ball extremely well, but you got to get in his face, get your hands up. You don't have to always sack him, but pressure is a great thing. And you know what? I'd like to see a little bit more blitzing. Adam Bighill, I like when he plays tough, when he lines up on that line of scrimmage, either drops back or he comes. Make those offensive linemen make the calls. Is it solid? We have to slide and then see what they're doing, because a lot of times just because of the call, you'll kind of figure out what they're going to run or pass. Special teams we didn't even talk about, and I'm just going to end it on this. Mark Leggio, good for you, buddy. Mark Leggio, 55-yarder, brother. 1 for 1 over 50. I put on Twitter, I said, watch this young kid. He's going to rebound. He did. He's 3 for 3 in the last 2 games. He's kicking the hell out of the ball. He's punting the ball well. That's all I'm going to say with Mark Leggio, but good for you, young man.
Well, I'll ask you one more on Mark Leggio. How about the swerve to avoid the punt block? Like, that could have added, it was like 17-7 at that point, I think.
Yeah.
That could have been a 24-7 lead for Saskatchewan in the first half. What a huge play that was.
It was very smart, very heads up to pull it down, not try and force it, take a side step and then kick the ball. Well, yeah, I'm impressed with the young man. I'm just happy that people, now they're back climbing on the cart again. They went and got their ankles fixed, and now they're back. They're like, oh, Mark, we never really didn't like you. We just, hey, make up your mind, people.
No, they've always been on Mark Leggio's side. I'll add one simple key from my perspective, Chris.
You do it.
The Bombers defense need to bracket Frankie Hickson. They need 2 guys on him every single play, because one man will not be able to take him down the majority of the time. If Winnipeg can make Saskatchewan one-dimensional offensively, I think they cruise to a victory tonight, in the Banjo Bowl. Head on over to sia.com/bonfire, sign up, put a sprinkle on the game. Lots of bets there for NFL, NHL, all the sports and major there as well. Props, futures, game lines as well as so much more. A Canadian casino, keep the cash here in the Canadian economy. That'll be good on you. And then, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this one more time. The Winnipeg Rifles are on a heater. You want to head down to the game on Sunday, September 11th, 11 a.m. kick, a little bit of a special time compared to their normal 1 p.m.s at Eastside Eagles Field next to Kildonan East Collegiate. Tickets are $15, $10 for seniors, free for the kids and anybody under 18. If you can't make it to the game, you can watch it live, cjfltv.com. Great broadcast. Not so much the play-by-play, but, with instant replay and multiple camera angles, you will get your money's worth in watching one of the best Canadian junior football programs in the country today. Number 7 ranked Calgary Colts in town. So more information, riflesfootball.com. Going to be a fun one, Chris. Headed to Finn McCool's tonight. Zach the Schnitz and I are going to do a little bit of a live show if the technology works out. But big Prairie rivalry pregame bash going on at Finn McCool's on Grant tonight. And I'll see you at the game on Saturday.
I will see you, brother. I have to go now because my wife still has half an hour of work, and I don't want her to get in trouble. So I appreciate you doing it too. And I'll leave it with this. You know what, big DB? I like your defensive tip better than mine. That's the big one. Yeah, take Hickson out of the game. Good for you, buddy. Anyway, adios, my friends. I've got to go take the dog for a walk and see if I got any cold ones in the cooler.
Enjoy your Banjo Bowl weekend, everybody.
Bye.